what's the status on all the Star Wars games coming out? So I did a little digging, and I'm here to report in 2023, spooky season, the future of Star Wars video games as we know it. Let's start with Star Wars Hunters. Developed by Zynga, I guess they're still around. Star Wars Hunters is coming to Switch and mobile. It's a third-person arena shooter that has an art style reminiscent of Fort Watch, which isn't bad, and the characters actually look pretty cool. It's a 4 vs 4 team game with multiple game modes. The game modes include Huttball, which was a PvP mode in the Old Republic, control points, and escorting the payload. Experiment with team compositions, custom loadouts for your characters, and in-app microtransactions that are probably going to be costumes and unlocking heroes faster. It honestly looks like it would have made a pretty badass PC or console shooter if it wanted to be. It would just need to be a little bit faster paced. But hey, it has its audience, Star Wars Hunters, coming later this year. Up next is the Knights of the Old Republic remake by Aspyr. This hype announcement came in September 2021 as a PS5 exclusive. Fast forward 2 years later, and Sony just deleted all tweets related to KOTOR Remake. WTF, mate. Apparently Sony's music license for KOTOR just expired, so as standard practice, they deleted all video and tweets containing said music, such as trailers for the game that everyone still thought was happening. This is unfortunately unsurprising since there's been a few road bumps in development. Back in July 2022, Aspyr, the developer, fired their design director and art director after a poor showing of a demo to Lucasfilm and Sony. After that, the project was paused indefinitely. Aspyr specializes in porting existing games to other consoles, pretty much since the 90s and up to this day. They're making the recently announced Tomb Raider remasters, they did the Jedi Knight games and Republic Commando and KOTOR itself, and the list goes on. But as far as remaking a game from the ground up, the closest thing they've done is made one original game ever, and that was a VR game from 2018, which apparently had middling reviews. So yeah, I definitely trust them remaking one of the most beloved, hard to live up to Star Wars games ever made. So yeah, KOTOR Remake, delayed indefinitely. Star Wars Eclipse. This is gonna take a while, so you might as well go get a snack or a drink or something. Star Wars Eclipse is going to be a story-driven game set in Disney's High Republic era. Quantic Dream was established in 1997 by French video game designer David Cage. All games made by Quantic Dream are, for the most part, written and directed by Cage. Their trademark style is interactive storytelling in video games, creating experiences for gamers and non-gamers alike. The studio got their first game published in '99 by Eidos. Eventually their big hitter, Heavy Rain, was published by Sony in 2010, and then in 2013, Quantic starts developing a sci-fi game that would visit multiple planets, have action sequences, and be this epic adventure. But Sony doesn't greenlight it, they want Detroit Become Human instead. So they move on. They release Beyond Two Souls and eventually Detroit Become Human. But a few months before the release of Detroit, accusations of hostile workplace conditions and toxicity come flying out of the game studio. Overwhelming workloads, questionable contract practices, and that David Cage himself and co-CEO
Guillaume de Fondomière
fostered a sexist and racist workplace. One of the most alarming stories to come out were about the photoshopped images portraying employees as Nazis, porn stars, prostitutes, and more jokes that weren't really tasteful. These images were circulated around the office on a regular basis, with file names and subtitles often referring to sodomy and whores. There were allegedly over 600 of these types of images shared internally through emails. Some employees said that many images were displayed in plain view of the office, and it wasn't a secret at all that this was happening. One image even reportedly had 2 female accountants' faces put on men's bodies with the subtitle, "All women are born equal, but the best become whores." Cool. Meanwhile, the co-CEO alleges that only those portrayed in the images actually received the emails, just for giggles, I guess. And then Cage himself stated that the images were never shared, and that he wouldn't stop the individuals responsible for making them because they were their own private files? Which doesn't make sense, because then how would anyone know about them? Anyways, somebody's lying. Where there's smoke, there's fire. In light of these allegations, Quantic released an official statement saying that it's all slander, and they've never heard any complaints of harassment. They also humble brag how they've had 2 of 3 already existing cases of contractual disputes with their employees successfully thrown out of the French Industrial Tribunal. This is a weird thing to brag about in a situation where you're getting called out for certain things. But regardless, Detroit released to critical acclaim and became Quantic Dream's best-selling game, eventually shipping over 8 million units. Quantic went on to sue 3 French news outlets for slander. Legal proceedings between Quantic and Mediapart brought to light some quotes Cage said in public. "In my games, all women are whores. There is a lack of tits, and at Quantic Dream, we don't make games for." Later on, an ex-employee sues Quantic Dream for wrongful termination, which he wins in French court in July 2018. 2 years later, Quantic Dream pitches that old space game they didn't get approved from Sony to LucasArts to become a Star Wars game. So I guess Disney saw all that shit we just talked about and said, perfect, we would like one game not for please. And they greenlight Star Wars Eclipse. Fast forward to 2021. That wrongful termination lawsuit is appealed and successfully overturned in favor of Quantic Dream. After the case was overturned, the article by Kennard, which covered the photoshopped images part of the story, is mysteriously taken down, now only accessible through the Internet Archive. As we can see with this April timestamp, the site works, but in September, it seems to no longer be around. Now this is just a theory, and I'm not saying this really happened at all, but Disney's behind it all. So after the evidence is erased, December 2021 comes around, and Star Wars Eclipse is announced by cinematic trailer at the Game Awards. But the internet doesn't forget. When people saw Quantic Dream's name pop up, a social media boycott almost immediately took place.
I thought it was gonna be Nihilist for a second. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh. It's a David Cage's studio. Oh no!
It's a cinematic trailer that didn't tell me shit. I can only get so excited, but that... Uh-oh.
That was a big old
it's not pod racing.
Take all of what you just saw, any excitement, any joy, wonder for the world of Star Wars, and flush it down the toilet.
Oh no.
Lucasfilm made no comment on the situation, hoping this would all blow over. Eventually, Quantic Dream struggled to gain resources needed to continue working on the game. In August 2022, they were acquired by Chinese company NetEase. With this acquisition, they hope that they'll have enough resources to finish Eclipse. Quantic has also apparently struggled with hiring new people, because no one wants to work with them. They're also having troubles with their engine, which is primarily used for small spaces and limited NPCs. It's not exactly in line with their vision to have a multi-planet, open-world action-adventure game. They also want to make Eclipse their first multiplayer game, somehow. So there may be some overscoping and lack of resources for this game, and Eclipse is reportedly delayed from anywhere from 2026 to 2028. So yeah, Star Wars Eclipse, what a shit show. Cool cinematic though. Oh yeah, want to know what this game's codename was from 2013? Project Karma. Ubisoft is also working on their own Star Wars game, Outlaws, the first ever open-world Star Wars game. This will take place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which sounds amazing. It's being developed by Massive Entertainment and some in-house Ubisoft studios. You'll be playing as a scoundrel, Kay, who seeks a new life with her companion, Nyx. What is it with these new Star Wars names with 3 letters? Like, it's getting old. There seems to be a focus on combat, theft, and crime syndicates, which heavily leans into a Grand Theft Auto kind of vibe, but they're probably not going to have a mature rating, so it'll probably be like cartoon crimes. The trailer looks pretty promising, and there's an initial release date of 2024, so look forward to that. Up next is the much anticipated first-person shooter by Respawn. This will be a story-driven single-player game, although Respawn recently hired a senior gameplay software engineer specifically for the Star Wars FPS, asking for experience in developing multiplayer games, so there may be some multiplayer module. They also say it's inspired by classic titles like Dark Forces 1 and 2, which is very exciting, so we might be wielding blasters, force powers, and lightsabers all at the same time. Or there's full motion cutscenes, which will also be great. The game will be directed by Peter Hirschman, who's worked with Star Wars video games for a long time. This will be the second game he's directed, the first one being Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Respawn has turned out some of the best shooters I've personally played with Apex and Titanfall, so this is very exciting to look forward to. Cannot wait. Not much else I know on this one, so yeah, Respawn shooter to be announced. Also developed by Respawn is the Star Wars Jedi third game.
We're working on the third, and we're in the process of doing it right now. That's a big undertaking, and it's been some conversations so far. Hopefully when all things are said and done, we'll be able to go in and make something really cool for you guys again.
I know we skipped the review of Death for Jedi Survivor on this channel, and I apologize. We've just been very busy, but I can solidly recommend it. As someone who didn't like Fallen Order that much, Survivor improves a lot of what it did and has a better story, in my opinion. It's a good game. It's a good speed run too. And yeah, Star Wars Jedi 3, Cal will probably go dark side mode on some fools. Can't wait. Unknown Strategy Game by BitReactor. And this is a newly formed studio, spearheaded by a strategy game veteran, Greg Fursch, who worked on notable games such as the XCOM remakes, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Empire of Sin. No announcement date on the strategy game, but I can imagine it will be pretty good if it's anything like XCOM. Minecraft. Yes, there is Minecraft Star Wars coming November of 2023, called The Path of the Jedi DLC. This will be a story-based adventure. You play as a Padawan, customize your own droid, build a lightsaber. Ahsoka's there, General Grievous, Obi-Wan. It's set in the prequels, and it looks like it'll just be some good old-fashioned Minecraft fun. You'll meet Yoda, Mace Windu, become a Jedi Knight, and yeah, coming November. The last game on the list is the unknown action-adventure game by Skydance New Media, headed by Amy Hennig, creative director and writer behind the Uncharted series. She also worked on Battlefield Hardline, Forspoken, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Apparently, the Star Wars game will be a revival of Project Ragtag, also led by Amy Hennig. Ragtag was the codename for the untitled third-person action-adventure game by Visceral Games, published by EA. But it was cancelled in 2017. It seems like she's bringing ideas from that project over to the Skydance one, so it seems like she has some good ideas that she's really trying to get done.
Our goal has always been not to just sort of make a game that is set in the Star Wars universe, but to really tell an authentic Star Wars story.
Looking forward to it. The game was supposed to take place after New Hope, and was about a large-scale heist, so maybe an Ocean's 11 type vibe. So, Skydance Star Wars game to be announced. Let's see what happens. And that's pretty much it for me. That's all on my list. What do you want to see from Star Wars? Thanks again to the patrons for making this video more possible than ever before, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.